billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Red, black, and green for you and me. We are winning. Won't stop the fight till we are free. We are winning. African workers, we must unite. We are winning. Against white power, the parasite. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Viva Haiti, who first set us free. We are winning. Carry the torch of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. We are winning. Coup d'état, tous les cailles. We are winning. We will rejoice when the colonizers die. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning.
Even going some.
Wow, somebody recognizes our
Israel to Africa. We are winning. Shout Uhuru for our freedom. We are winning. We'll dance and sing songs when revolutions won. We are winning. Africa's best daughters and sons. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Red, black, and green for you and me. We are winning. Won't stop the fight till we are free. We are winning. African workers, we must unite. We are winning. Against white power,
Let's see. You talk to, comment, Zacchaeus gonna have to leave in about 10 minutes. He had already told. Can't get that yet. Yeah. No, I would like for, Zacchaeus to do it solidarity. I think we start, are we gonna use the African National Flag song? Will that happen? We won't be able to do that? Okay.
Uhuru!
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 And Akwaaba, everyone, which means welcome. So if we can get everyone in, please.
Close the door.
Can we close the back door? Someone close the back door, please. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I want to welcome everyone. What a great looking group to the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations 14th Annual Conference. Uhuru. Again, it's great to see so many members of the steering committee, Brother Zaki Baruti, Brother Reverend Edward Pinkney.
Right on.
Great to see you here. Glad to be here. All right. Again, as I said, I want to welcome everyone to the 14th Annual Black is Back Coalition's Annual Conference. And right now, what we're going to do just a brief change in the program. One of our members of the steering committee wanted to, as you know, let me go back and say that today, what we are doing is we are, the Black Power Blueprint is joining us today. Hand clap for the Black Power Blueprint. You're here on the ground in St. Louis, as well as all over the world. You recognize the work that the Black Power Blueprint has done here in St. Louis, Missouri. And they are going to be part of our program for today. And we have one of our, steering committee members that had to leave a little early. So I want to invite Brother Zaki Baruti up because he wanted to make sure that he was able to give his greetings and salutary expression to the Black Power Blueprint. All right.
Uhuru. Uhuru. Black power. Black power. All power to the people.
Black power to the African nation.
First and foremost, as a steering committee member representing the Universal African Peoples Organization, of course, I'm so honored to be here. But unfortunately, I have to leave early because of the death of one of our members' family. Father, that is, and so I have to be there to celebrate his transition. But in that spirit, our organization, the Universal African Peoples Organization, of which several of our members are here, and I'm expecting others. With those members that's here, please stand. I really wanted to just briefly say that I just want to salute the Black Power Blueprint, and the architect, the beautiful owner, Yesateli, for working to make it happen. What they have been doing is an example that needs to be taking place all across America, especially in our communities. Absolutely. So that's why, I was supposed to have been given some remarks on the opening dedication, but as I just said, I'm not able to stay because of the circumstance of the day. But I would have been remiss if I did not, again, send out congratulations for the Macaplex that they will be dedicating today, as well as the basketball court, as well as just next door to this beautiful house with the beautiful red, black, and green flag that they always salute. So once again, let's give it up for them. All right. And I would just close, I just want to know that there's a great contingent of people from Birmingham. Birmingham, please stand. As well as I just want to salute my good brother Picnic, a great freedom fighter. And I am just so honored day in and day out to be among some serious freedom fighters.
Yes.
And it is our duty in our lifetime to achieve liberation and an end to this capitalistic, blood-sucking system and imperialism. On that note, we will be victorious. Everybody say that. We will be victorious. Power to the people. All right.
Uhuru, thank you, Brother Zaki, President General of the Universal African Peoples Organization. And again, I want to salute everyone that is here in the room for joining us for the Black is Back Coalition's 14th Annual Conference. I'm just pleased to see everyone, and I just heard him shout out Birmingham. So yes, Alabama is in the house, and I really want to salute Comrade Sister Carolyn Lake and her daughters that are here. Is everyone that is online, thank you for joining us today. We have a great day ahead and a great day planned. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the program so that we can get started. How about that? Uhuru? Born in St. Petersburg, Florida, USA on October 9th, 1941, Amalia Shatella is known as the leader of the African nation, having waged more than a 50-year struggle to liberate and unify Africa and African people in his lifetime. He is the chairman and founder of the African People's Socialist Party, the vanguard organization of the African working class with the science, unity, and discipline to win liberation of African people. Amalia Shatella spent his life in the trenches, organizing, speaking, and building the African Revolution as the only solution to the poverty, oppression, and colonial violence faced by Black people on the continent of Africa, inside the US, and globally. Chairman Amalia Shatella has developed the political theory of African internationalism, which explains the world through the eyes of the African working class and in solidarity with oppressed and colonized people around the world. African internationalism lays out the understanding of the colonial mode of production, showing that all the wealth and power of white people and white people, the wealth and power of white people and white people come at the expense of African people and other colonized people. The chairman shows that the current capitalist system is parasitic, having been born through Europe's assault on Africa, kidnapping and enslavement of African people and theft of Africa's resources, along with the genocide of the indigenous peoples and colonial domination of the majority of the peoples on the planet. It is with great honor that I introduce to you my leadership, the leader of the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman Amalia Shatella.
I want to express my appreciation to Comrade Sister Ikinge for that introduction. I would also like to acknowledge that this meeting is happening on today, this weekend, on the anniversary, August 17th of the birth of Marcus Garvey.
It's important. It's important to say that because we are celebrating Marcus Garvey's birthday. There's an event that the Universal African Peoples Organization is hosting at Legacy Cafe today in celebration of Marcus Garvey. And I want to remind everybody here that we are celebrating Marcus Garvey's birthday despite every effort that was made by the United States government to destroy Garvey and destroy the movement that he led. Garvey was hounded by the FBI that cut its teeth as an entity of the colonial powers in this country through organizing to destroy this movement led by this incredible man and his organization. In fact, the Universal Negro, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. The UAPO, the Universal African Peoples Organization, takes its name from Marcus Garvey.
Yes.
And I'm saying this, that we're here today on the anniversary of his birth. Most people in this room, or many people in this room, would not know the name of the person who was president when they sicked him on Garvey. They remember Garvey. We know Garvey. And many people would not know the name. See, Westmore is looking at me. Westbrook is looking at me like I know. And many people would not know the name of the person who became the executive director of this this secret political organization called the FBI that got his start with the attack on Marcus Garvey. But they know the name of Garvey. The red, black, and green flag that hangs out there, that's Garvey's flag. That's Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League flag. And I'm saying that because the work that we carry out today is the work that was begun by Marcus Garvey. And we are clear on that. We are conscious of that. And so is the United States government, which is why the United States government attacked this movement, this organization on July 29th of 2022. It's an attempt to prevent the development of the programs and ideas of Marcus Garvey that would make Black people free. So you see, there have been movements in this country, and there continue to be today, of trying to improve the lives of the people in this country. We do that. But there are also movements in this country, and we represent this tendency and always have been, that in the process of improving the life of Black people under colonialism is determined to end colonialism. Yeah. So that we don't live under colonial domination. Yeah, that's right. We're not just trying to make life on the plantation better. Mm-hmm. We want to destroy plantation life and the relationship that the enslaved would have to those who control the plantation. Yeah. Right? Yeah. That's what distinguished Marcus Garvey, even from the significant W.E.B. Du Bois, who worked with the United States government to try to get rid of Marcus Garvey, and who himself was attacked by the FBI in 1951 on the same charges that they now have attacked me with. So I just want to say that I think it's extremely important for everybody in this meeting, for all of us to remember that Black people have a mission. Yeah. And our mission is to end this relationship of oppression and exploitation that we live under, the genocide that we live under. That's right. Not just to make a nicer, kinder, how can you get a nicer, kinder genocide? You understand? This is what they would offer us. We reject it. Yeah. We reject it. We demand absolute, unconditional freedom, liberation for Black people. We need to be a self-governing people. You can't have dignity as a slave that's not fighting against slavery. You understand? So I just want to say that. So I want to recognize Marcus Garvey. Yes. I want to acknowledge the steering committee of the Black is Back Coalition, some of whom are in this room, as I am a member of the steering committee of the Black is Back Coalition. The good Reverend Edward Pinkney is a member. His slogan is, if you got a problem, call Pinkney. And so I just really want to acknowledge the steering committees. I keep a routine. It's a member of the steering committee as well. And so this is the anniversary, the convention, the date of the national conference of the Black is Back Coalition, today and tomorrow. But we have an opportunity also to participate in other work that is responsible for carrying out the mission of Marcus Garvey. We're talking about the Black Power Blueprint.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Garvey was about.
Yeah.
He was not for beige power, right? He was for Black power, right? He was for ending the colonial relationship. He was talking about liberating the African nation. Yeah. He recognized that Black people exist as a nation and not as just some appendage to somebody else or some other identity. We're not hyphenated people, right?
There you go.
We're not people of color, right?
Right.
We are Africans, right? And we were Africans when we got on the boat in Africa, right? And then we were Africans when we got off the boat. Reverend Pinkney, I know you're a religious man. I know you are familiar with the story of Noah, right?
Yeah.
And who with that significant boat. And who was the guy who fell off the ship and was swallowed up by the big fish, the great fish, right? We know about those stories, but that wasn't the ship that they said we was on. Neither of those, right? It was an ordinary ship that they organized to take African captives on the continent of Africa, to attack Africa, and then to bring us here. So we were Africans then, we were Africans now.
That's right.
So that's what God was about, that's what we recognize. And that's what every effort is being made to destroy the memory of who we are. So that we accept what happens to us as if this is some relative that's doing it to us. No, this is no relative that's doing to this. This is the colonizer. Colonialism is to be living under the domination of foreign and alien force and foreign and alien force. And just because we live in the same place don't mean, when I say foreigner, sometimes you think I'm talking about somebody from out of town. But the foreigners did come from out of town. And then they took this land from the people who were the traditional custodians of the land, right? Y'all know white people are not indigenous to this territory.
That's right.
Somebody don't know that. But the problem that we are faced with in part is that the history, the identity of people who call themselves Americans it has its origin here. So if you get rid of this, then the American doesn't exist. And so in many instances, colonizers who may be sympathetic one way or another find themselves fighting for colonialism because to destroy colonialism is to destroy their identity. Do you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
No, you don't. It's to destroy their identity. How can an American have an identity? How can there be an American without the attack on this land right now and the theft of this land and the genocide committed against the indigenous people? And the fact that there are concentration camps in this country right now, right? Right. Some of them are called reservations, Indian reservations, where the traditional custodians of the land, they're stuck there. And there are FBI agents and all kinds of forces that are determined to make sure if the indigenous people ever became free, then white people become homeless. Unless you can make a deal. Different kind of arrangement. This is not an assault on anybody, it's just objective truth, and you can't get to freedom unless you can get the truth.
That's right.
Truth is objective. It is objective. Truth is objective. And the relationship we have to this country is as captives. This whole notion about this being a country, as they would like to say, a nation of immigrants, this is not even a nation that we're talking about. Don't confuse a landmass with a nation. A nation has consciousness. It occupies land and territory, has consciousness, and it has a particular relationship to a particular kind of economic life. Africans are not immigrants. Captives is what we are. Some people don't want to remember that. You know, we had the Dred Scott decision that came right out of St. Louis. And the Dred Scott decision said when we went to court, Dred Scott and his wife went to court, 1857, I think it was, March, it might have been, and said that according to the law, you can't do this, you can't re-enslave us. And the court, was his name Taney, said, yes, we can enslave you because a black man has no rights that a white man has to respect. This was the Supreme Court. Yeah. We remember Roger Taney, but it wasn't just him, it was the court, it was the whole court that made that determination that a black man has no right that a white man has to respect. That was the law of the land. Yeah. Slavery was the law of the land that imposed a particular kind of relationship on us that we're still trying to get away from. The fact of the matter is freedom has always been illegal for black people in this country. How can it be otherwise? If you're gonna have a slave, an economy, a country based on slavery, how can freedom be legal? They have to make that illegal to try to get away from the slave master. And since being captive here, everything that we've been involved in is to try to find some iteration of freedom, something that looks like freedom. Everything we've done since that beginning to now. That's what the so-called civil rights movement, that's why people are running around talking about Black Lives Matter, because we've been struggling since then, since that time. And the Black Lives Matter people, even though they don't say anything, they are being hounded by the FBI because freedom is illegal for black people. Yes. There's such a thing as de jure. And then there's de facto law. So what is the law in fact? It's not just what it is by law. What is it in fact? This is what we're looking at, isn't it? As I said, you're free. They're putting Nat Turner on trial. Y'all remember Nat Turner? Yeah. When was that, 1831? When Nat Turner said, strike at night and spare no one. And led a struggle to free ourselves. And when he was finally captured, they put him on trial. And they found him guilty. Can you imagine how he's already enslaved? That's what he's trying to get away from. So after he is captured, they put him on trial. Who puts him on trial? The slavers, the enslavers, the so-called slave masters put him on trial. And then how in the hell is he going to be found innocent? And even if he were found innocent, is he going to be free? He's still going to be enslaved, isn't he? That's the dilemma that you and I are confronted with all the time. Go to court and be free, and then come back to slavery, right? Yeah. So you don't go to prison, you just go to the plantation. All right, Nat. Yeah, so I just think it's important for us to recognize that this is the work we're doing with the Black Power Blueprint. And on today, this coalition, Black is Black Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, which came about because we've been struggling to solve the problem from the most recent era of incredible resistance of our people, because we ain't never not struggled. There has never been a moment in our history where we have not fought, where we have not resisted, where we have not tried to be free. All the time we've done that. And so this Black is Black Coalition came about in part because of this assault that was made on our movement in the 1960s, when they did kill Malcolm X, when they did kill Martin Luther King, when they did kill, in 1968 alone, something like 30 members of the Black Panther Party, where they did in 1969 kill Fred Hampton, murdered him after they had drugged him with Kool-Aid in Chicago to make sure that he could not wake up and defend himself. Where they did in 1969 attack the Black Panther Party in New York, the so-called Panther 21, and put 21 members of the Black Panther Party on trial for conspiring to do the most ridiculous thing. I think it was more than 100 charges they put them on trial for. the struggle for freedom for Black people has to go up against the law. You don't have to break the law, but you're going up against the law all the time to try to be free. That's what we're confronted with. And so here we are today, and the coalition came about because our movement had been destroyed. We're going to talk about Mafundi Lake here, who was a heroic figure beyond what most people would understand, because most people who are engaged in what's supposed to be the movement today do so through social media. But this pre-social media, Mafundi, and to face the Alabama prison system that was immediately born out of the slave project. There was no pretense there, where convict leasing stood supreme. Where in Birmingham, Alabama in particular, I think it was U.S. Steel, was leasing Africans from the prison system to rebuild the South. And in fact, it was Africans who were imprisoned after slavery who rebuilt the South after the Civil War that was supposed to have been won to free the slaves. And so Birmingham was central to that. And nobody can tell me nothing about Mafundi or anybody else. Don't tell me about Mafundi. Nobody from U.S. Steel is on trial. Nobody from those bloodsuckers who put our people under the circumstance that we had to endure in Birmingham and all over Alabama and all over the United States on trial. They're not on trial. And even when people look at today, and it's too easy for people to do this, to make the mistake of uniting with the United States government because they're attacking Trump. But this struggle with Trump is a struggle between the different sectors of the colonial ruling class. They ain't put Trump on trial for nothing he's done to Black people. They're not charging Trump for anything he did to Africans in Puerto Rico during that hurricane, etc. They're not putting Trump on trial for anything like that. What they're putting Trump on trial is for a contest contradiction they got with him because he has moved from the arrangement that they had established for the colonizers themselves. So Trump is on trial. And then the people who call themselves Republicans, they are talking about impeaching Biden. This is a struggle between sectors of the ruling class. I'm not saying you shouldn't have an opinion on it, but don't be confused about it. Don't be confused with the fact that they're talking about indicting Trump, and then they attack my home at 5 o'clock in the morning on July 29th. Two different things. Because Biden attacked my home, not Trump.
Yeah.
The fact is it's an assault on free speech. And I want even Trump to have free speech, because once you open the door for them to attack free speech, you just open the door for an attack on free speech, not just Trump free speech, but my free speech too. That's right. Everybody's. And some people may be dumb enough to think that the attack on July 29th on Monty Shatella and his wife and his home and Penny Hess and Jesse Neville and all of our property may be dumb enough to think that it's just about us. Because we are these radicals, they say we got some kind of relationship with Russians, so that's all right. But there is no such thing as the Monty Shatella free speech. There's no Uhuru movement free speech. There is free speech. Yeah. And the moment you say you can attack free speech, that means you can attack anybody and everybody's free speech. And that when they attack us, because they're coming for you. Yeah. They get us because we are between them and you. Because we are the force that stand between them and you. That's what being the vanguard means. Yes. Out in front. Yes. That's why they attacked Panthers. Panthers out in front, not just because they were Black, but because they were raising the critical questions about freedom, about democracy. That's what Black people have always done in this country. You can be stupid enough, if you will, to think that they're just coming for me. They're coming for me because they got to get through me to get to you. That's right. And not even your white ass. You understand what I'm saying? They're coming for me because they're coming for us all. Yeah. And you got to stand and protect this so it doesn't happen. So the steering committee, Black is Black Coalition, really important. This assault they made on our movement. We pulled together something like 18 different organizations, Black organizations, who stand for self-determination, who are part of this project makes it clear. And certainly in the African community, they ain't just talking about one group or two groups, they talking about Reverend Pickman, the good Reverend Pickman, who they also put in jail. What did Reverend Pickman do? He did the same thing. He used the electoral process to advance the struggle of Black people. And so when he did a recall petition, because some politician didn't serve the interests he was supposed to serve, they put him in jail, put him in prison, locked him up in prison. But you're supposed to be able to use the electoral process. That's the way they say you forge your interests, isn't that right? That's right. He didn't pick up a gun or anything. He just got involved in the elections. But elections are illegal too if you don't do it the way they want you to do it, which is why they overthrow governments all around this world. The Americans do. The Americans who are attacking me because they say we put campaigns calling for reparations and Black community control of the police because we put genocide of Black people on the agenda. They attack us. Anyway, so on today, the first part of the Black is Black Coalition meeting, and the deputy chair is looking at me with those kind of eyes, because I'm supposed to be talking about the Black Power blueprint, and because I've talked too long already, because I have been to people who are not too observant, ignoring the presence of our dear comrades, our sisters, brothers, our family from Birmingham. Meaning our family in the traditional African sense. White people call it extended family. We call it the normal family. That other family is what's wrong. You understand? I'm talking about Sister Carolyn Lake, and I'm talking about Asada Lake. I'm talking about my goddaughter, Maya Lake. I'm talking about Clint. I'm also talking about Makeda. I'm talking about the Red Bone from Alabama. All these other folk who came, here for today. I just want to acknowledge you, and I think it's important because their husband and father and dear comrade died in prison. He died in prison because the United States government framed him up. And he did it on several occasions. Once he was just a teenager, locked him up in prison and kept him there for a long time. He built a magnificent prison organization. You knew about what was happening in California, the prison struggle, George Jackson and all those folk. You knew what was happening in places like in New York, Attica, et cetera, but you didn't know too much about what was happening in Alabama and other Southern prisoners, and Parchman in Mississippi, and Rayford in Florida, and things like that, because we were not in those places that had access to all the media. And but in Alabama, this is where Mafundi was locked up. He built a magnificent prison organization. I knew about it. I was in Florida. I was in the Florida prison system for much of the time for my involvement in the struggle. And Mafundi got out of prison, and he not only did continue to do prison work, but he became part of a national and international movement around prison questions, the Africans being locked up in this prison system. He became the first organizer for the African National Prison Organization, something that we put together in 1979, 80. It's 79 or 80. He traveled all over this country. He became one of the primary speakers at the first World Tribunal on Reparations for Black people in this country that happened in 1982, November 1982 in Brooklyn, New York. This is the beginning of the whole reparations movement. I'm telling you that you should understand this reparations movement as a mass movement. Mafundi was there. He spoke. He transfixed the entire audience, hundreds of people in that audience, and listened to Mafundi talking about what it was like to be in prison as an African in this country. He stood next to somebody who had experienced the attack on those African people in Attica prison, where Governor Rockefeller, the liberal Republican governor, had gunned down 42 people, mostly Africans, in that prison system. Mafundi was there. He was not just some footnote, he was in the mix all the time. He was there in 1979 when the people in Iran overthrew the Shah, who had been put in power by the United States government to oppress in a very horrible way the people in Iran. They like to act like they don't know what's wrong with the relationships between Iran and the United States today. The Iranians, all these bad people. The United States government overthrew a legally elected president. His name was Mossadegh. Mohammed Mossadegh overthrew him. One of the children of the Roosevelts, who Negroes love so much, was with the CIA and engineered that coup, overthrew him. And then when the Iranians took power in 1979, they attacked, that's what they call it, a nest of spies. It was the US Embassy, and it was a nest of spies. And when they did that, this country went insane. I was there. I was there in Gainesville, Florida. Mafundi was there with me. One of the most esteemed university in the state of Florida, University of Florida. White students on campuses were holding bonfires and things like that, calling for sending the Klan to Iran. What the hell does the Klan got to do with this? What does that mean? Send the Klan to Iran. That's a statement not just about Iranians, isn't it? It's a statement about me too, isn't it? It's a statement about what they assume the relationship to be with people who are not colonizers. Send the Klan to Iran. They were doing things like chanting, sand niggers, not what? Sand niggers, go home. This was at the University of Florida. Say, why you get involved in the old international stuff? All right? And that's what's defining their international activities around the world. I was there. And we organized demonstrations in solidarity with the Iranian people because they were killing people who they thought were Iranian. They didn't know that the Iranians were not Arabs. You know, the American public doesn't know anything about any place in the world until when they're attacking somebody and the people fight back, and then have to look it up and say, what is a Ukrainian? Right. You understand, et cetera. And so here you have this situation where they are killing and attacking people who, if they wore a turban, attacking. And this is what was happening in this country. And so we held a demonstration in solidarity with the Iranian people. Mafundi was there. And never forget, we had this march, and we turned on University Avenue in Gainesville, Florida. It's named for, obviously, the University of Florida. Everything is in Gainesville. When we turned the corner, there were literally hundreds, if not thousands, of flag-waving white people who greeted us. And they attacked this mobilization. They did it first time, I wasn't in that march. And they took the red, black, and green flag and tore it up. And I said, we're going again. And we did. We marched, and the next week we marched again. I was in that. And we had the red, black, and green flag with us again, too. And before we got there, we were getting reports that there were hundreds of white motorcyclists, gangs, and things like that, sitting around with the police drinking beer, et cetera, waiting for us to get there. And we turned that corner on University Avenue, and we were met by this mob of people. And they were chanting, America, America, America. And then we marched into them chanting, Africa, 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 and backed them up. Yes, we did. And then I stood up on the platform and said, the sand niggers are here. You understand? And I remember there being this youngster. Maybe, where's my little brother here? There he is. Stand up. There. Stand up. Stand up. Yeah. Maybe Mason sound. Little. Major side, this is Major. This is my guy. We mess with each other because I like to call him Marvin, because that ain't his name, and he likes to remind me that's not his name. But his side, he was on skateboard. And Mafundi saw him on that skateboard, and all the white people, Mafundi snatched that skateboard. He's trying to snatch that skateboard so he could fight with it, but that little boy wanted to fight too. So him and that little boy was struggling over that skateboard. I never forget this. Here's Mafundi and this little boy fighting over that skateboard. I'm remembering Mafundi late. He was an incredible soldier, and I loved him so much. And he was, when I say I loved him and he was incredible, I don't mean he was one of them little kissy kind of guys. That ain't Mafundi at all. I mean, Fundi, listen, Sister Carolyn would tell you, well, the fact that my granddaughter says everything about our relationship. My goddaughter says everything about our relationship. But Mafundi would kick me out of the house. You go to a meeting where we got all these people from all around the country at Mafundi's house. Mafundi gets back, get out of my house. Kicks everybody out the damn house. And I laugh, because the next I know that Mafundi is messing around because he's going to need me to help carry the furniture when he's moving to the next apartment in the complex, right? So, all right. So I'm just, mentioning this. He was my dear comrade. He really was a dearest kind of comrade, and Mafundi was the comrade. If he was your comrade, he was your comrade. You understand? You knew that. You don't have to worry. Is Mafundi going to snitch? Is Mafundi going to roll over? Is Mafundi going to desert? No. If it's to the end, Mafundi is going to be there with you. And so I'm really happy to be here to talk about that. And finally, I want to say, we, through the Black Power Blueprint, and I have to acknowledge the Deputy Chair, Ozanae, who has this strange last name. That's affixed to my name, by the way. And ain't nothing she can do about it yet. I mean, not that easily anyway, but who has been the architect of much of the economic development programs that we've done. And part of this has been to really transform North St. Louis. Anybody who has seen the kind of development since we've come in here know what I'm talking about. Because they wanted to make North St. Louis a wasteland. They're in the process now of trying to make St. Louis a majority white city. Got people like Jesse Todd, who's been fighting them tooth and nail. First is just an organizer. First is just a radical here in St. Louis. And then he became an older person here in St. Louis. And he's fought them ever since. He put forth the Todd plan to try to say what you can do with these houses that they are pushing us out of. The St. Louis city of St. Louis is the largest landowner in the city. Thousands of properties. Where did they get them from? It didn't come from Jesus. I'm sorry, Reverend Pickens. Where did they get them from? They said they got them from curing blight. How were they curing blight? What they were doing is taking Black people's homes for taxes. Yes. And then what they would do is that they had these code violations. So you got old people, their husbands dying, leaving houses to their wives who cannot afford and who are not able to fix the houses up. And then they put liens on, they take the properties, curing blight, they say. And then St. Louis had the first so-called land bank in this country. And they have all these properties, and what they do with these properties, they put them in the bank. And who gets the properties? White people get those properties. So-called developers get those properties. And so they snatched them out from under us. And then what we've done is intervene in this process. And their children can't have a sense of, they talking about the children so bad, the violence, the gang. We had a Negro older person here who talked about bringing the National Guards in to his ward to attack Black people, not to attack Paul McKees, one of the big thugs, thieves who are stealing the land of the Black community, but the Black people who are suffering, who don't see the way out, who can't see the way out because they keep people like Jesse Todd quiet. Because they don't give them access to the programs that people like Zaki Baruti and the Universal African Peoples Organization might avail them to. They quiet them. and they attack us because of the programs that we've done. You need to have seen this before we started. You need to have seen this and how the people now encourage and want to do things in the community that they thought was impossible. When we talked about putting that basketball court down the street here, we had an older person say you can't put it back. This same older person who gave all this money and land to put a golf course said that the black people couldn't have their basketball court down here. In the community where in the streets, the children play basketball in the streets, dodging cars and using these makeshift basketball hoops. We raised $160,000 under the leadership of the deputy chair here. Put a basketball court down there. They said, well, how do you want to do a basketball court? They say you can't have a basketball court. We put a basketball court there. People just gonna be killing each other on the basketball court. You remember that, Deputy Chair? They'd be killing each other. And the guy across the street said they killing each other. Can't put a basketball court there. Not only are they not killing each other, they don't even let the basketball court get dirty. You understand? This is the transformation. And we engage the people to change their circumstances, change the conditions in the world. When people get engaged and change the world, they become changed themselves. Yeah. You see. And why you do a basketball court? That's not economic development. We do a basketball court because the children need to be able to see the sky. That's right. And they can't see the sky because they're living in dirt all the time and everything else. See the sky. Let the children see the sky. Yeah. There's no limits to what you can be and what you can do if you have organization. If you fight for black people and black power, you can do anything. Yeah. So, this is what it brought to the children. I want to also recognize here, I mentioned Don Fitz, and we have heard from Zaki Baruti, and we have seen evidence of his presence here organizationally. We've talked about the People's Alderman, Jesse Todd. They said Jesse Todd was the alderman of the 18th Ward. And that he shouldn't be over here, what was the 3rd Ward, the 21st Ward, doing stuff. Then leave that to the person who they got in prison right now. But Jesse would come here anyway. Jesse was the people's older person, right? So I wanted to acknowledge him. I wanted to acknowledge Comrade Don Fitz. Can't stand up, Don. From the Missouri Green Party, is Angelica here? Oh yes, Angelica. And there are other members of the Green Party who are here also, and they were first out of the gate, along with Zaki, along with Jesse Todd, when they attacked us. They said, we're gonna be with you all the way down the line. And they're here today, that's evidence of that. That's right. I want to say that's really powerful, and of course, Jesse Neville is in here. Yeah. Jesse Neville from the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, that they said he is a co-defendant. And I'm sorry. And then there is Penny Hess, who is here, who's the chairwoman of the African. See you, Penny. See you, Penny. All right. And a significance of that is for the first time, when they killed Fred Hampton, they just killed Fred Hampton. When they killed Malcolm X, they just killed Malcolm X. They just raided, killed, etc. But in this instance, for the first time, to attack the Black revolution in the Black community, they had to go to the white community, and that's when they raided us on Gravois. That's never happened before. And this is one of the reasons that they have to attack us, because we've broken up this unity, this blind unity that exists, absolute unity between the colonizer and the colonized. And the colonizer can unite. There are elements of the colonizers who can unite with the struggle to overturn colonialism, who are not afraid about the idea of America being their loss. You understand? They're not afraid that America disappearing means that they disappear. Because that's a hell of a trap to be in. That you can't work to free the indigenous people because somehow it means you disappear. You can't work to free the enslaved African people because somehow you disappeared. Your identity is so attached to slavery and colonialism that you end up all the time protecting colonialism and slavery, even if you just want to give it a better look. Make it nicer to look at. Make it a kind and gentler colonialism. Don't kill them on television where you can see the knee and the neck. Don't do that. Don't beat them on television like you did with Rodney King. Don't do that. Don't show what's happening in Vietnam so that we can see what's going on. Don't do that. Do it, but make it invisible. Yeah. Make it nicer. Yeah. Brothers and sisters and comrades, I really appreciate y'all being here. We're going to go to this Mafundi Lake compound. It's named for Mafundi Lake. Okay. And it's for African men and women. When they leave these concentration camps they call prisons, there's a place that they can participate in this African Internationalist workforce program. We have purchased property where people can train. We're going to establish the Uhuru Bakery Cafe, is that right? And we people can learn the culinary skills and things like that. These African men and women coming out of prison, who just thrown out, lock them up and throw them out. Only thing they learn is how to be cooked in prison and brutalize them and make them brutal in the process and disconnect them from their community and the love and affection that we have for our children, our brothers and sisters when they're here. Throw them in prison and turn them and bestialize them and then turn them loose on the community. No. So we have a program. They come out of those prison systems, they learn skills, not just how to participate in the culinary arts, but also how to run your own business. We teach that, and then you have a place to stay. This is one of the places that they will be able to stay. This fourplex that we purchased, we rehabbed it. Ozanae initiated that, made that happen. And then, so the whole complex is named for Mafundi Lake. They want these dead people just to be nothing but dead meat. Mafundi Lake is here. And every time anybody pass that place, they're going to see Mafundi Lake place. And that's something. And in that place also, there are 4 apartments that will hold 2 people each. And on the first floor, there's an apartment that is named for Matula Shakur, who was in prison all these years. They just let him out. The judge said he can only be paroled when we know he's gonna die. And so they let him out to die. And one is named for Sundiata Kohli, who they held for almost as long from the Black Liberation Army. And then upstairs, the apartments are named for Desi X Woods. Desi Woods was an African woman who, in the mid-70s, killed a white would-be rapist with his own gun. And they put her in prison and locked her up. So they're upstairs, Desi Woods. And then our girl, Asada Shakur, for whom my goddaughter, his name, is top floor, and who is not in prison because somebody went in there and took her out. She's in Cuba now, where the people are free, even though they have to work. So we don't see that. And it's just really important. Because we're not just talking about political prisoners and the sacrifices they make. We are making sure that they live forever. They live forever. Despite everything they try, like Marcus Garvey, they live forever. And that's what everybody will see when they're on College Avenue, right down the street off West Florissant. Mafundi is up there. Mafundi is up there, and the rest of them. Thank you, brothers and sisters, Uhuru.
Uhuru! Time for Karen Amali to tell her. The honor and online, I see we're getting lots of comments online, so we'll have to go back and try to review some of those messages. I have the honor now of introducing our next speaker, presenter, Ozanae Ishatella. President Ozanae Ishatella. Ozanae has been the president of the African People's Education and Defense Fund for over 12 years. She is a visionary who accepts nothing less than what the Black community deserves. As an entrepreneur, prior to joining APEDF, she brought all of her practical skills and an intuition for success to APDF and our people, Uhuru. Ozanae is the vice president of Black Star Industries. Amen. She is also the architect of the Black Power Blueprint, which is a program of both APEDF and BSI. After the brutal murder of Mike Brown in 2014 and the uprising of the courageous African community. Beginning in 2017, Ozanae spearheaded the Black Power Blueprint to regain and develop property in our community. Today, this neighborhood, known as the West Florissant Corridor, when it was only known as a blighted, ignored North St. Louis Black community previously. The Black Power Blueprint has brought several properties on this street and other parts of North St. Louis and secured a beautiful building on the south side where white people are organizing for reparations to Black people, winning other white people to take this on as well. In these roles, Ozanae heads up over 50 economic institutions and programs, including the magnificent Akwaaba Hall that we are in today. Isn't this a beautiful, beautiful space? Yeah. Well known for her dedicated, tireless commitment to the struggle of African people worldwide for independence and freedom, Ozanae is responsible for the monumental work of constructing an anti-colonial economy in the hands of the Black working class, including creating and leading programs to feed, clothe, and house our people. Uhuru. In addition to this Akwaaba Hall, she has built the beautiful Karibu outdoor space across from this building. I'm sure everyone saw the sign as they came up. The One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market that takes place on O'Fallon, in the O'Fallon Market throughout the summer and early fall months, and the Black Power Vanguard's community basketball court. Ozanae led funding drives to complete these programs and won worldwide support for them. The Farmers Market is sponsored by the USDA, but all of these programs were funded by our community and supporters with donations of $5 to $50,000, pie sales, furniture sales, and more. Uhuru. She leads the nationally known Uhuru furniture stores in Oakland, California, and in Philadelphia, and Uhuru Foods and Pies in Oakland, California, and St. Petersburg, Florida. Last year, Ozanae led the African Doula Project that trained 14 women in this community as birth doulas to address the high infant mortality and death rates of Black women during childbirth. Yes. As part of the Black Power Blueprint, she is also building the Uhuru Wakalia Women's Health Center and the Black Power Square, which will be an economic hub in this community. Ozanae has built the African People's Education and Defense Fund with the understanding that the political and economic are one, that without a self-sustaining economic foundation, our people will have no justice. She ensures that the community has a voice and leadership in all of these programs. In fact, the programs are built because our community defines our own needs. We are excited and honored to bring up Ozanae to present the work of APEDF that she leads and to introduce us to the Mafundi Lake Fourplex and the African Independence Workforce Program. These programs provide a future for Black people, push back on the prison system that targets African men and women and removes them from our community and our families. This is visionary work that is part of the Black Power Blueprint. Please join me and welcome President Ozanae.
Wow, that's all I got to say. I didn't know I've done all this work, but I'm just really excited to be here. I want to welcome to St. Louis the Black Power, the Black is Black Coalition for Social Justice, Peace and Reparations to their 14th annual conference today. Next slide. Again, my name is Ozanae, and I'm the president of the African People's Education and Defense Fund and a vice president of the Black Star Industry, as well as the architect for the Black Power Blueprint. I want to thank you for sharing the space on the first day of this convention. Next slide. I want to also salute the 18 amazing organization of the Black Gets Back Coalition Steering Committee. Next slide. I also want to acknowledge the coordinating committee as well, which consists of Chairman Omali Shatella, Vice Chair Lisa Davis, Ikinge Meline, who is the logistic coordinator, as well as Ilikia Ngoma, who is the secretary. I want to also give a special recognition to the Richard Mafundi Lake family, his courageous wife, Carolyn Lake, and their children, Vanessa, Ricky, Sonia, Clinton, Asada, and Malia, and all their families and friends who came out today. We also want to salute the Mafundi Lake Steering Committee, who is led by Kabino Bango Shango. I want to welcome all of you to this special event. APDF is not formally part of the Black is Back Coalition. We are a separate type nonprofit organization carrying out the mission here in St. Louis through the Black Power Blueprint. We have acquired and renovated properties for the anti-colonial development projects to feed, clothe, and house our people. A key part of the mission is to defend the human and civil rights of the African community. APDF is under no indictment. But as a part of the Uhuru movement, APDF has its records stolen by the FBI on July 29th of 2022. We have been attacked by local governments in Florida and Missouri over grant funds. The media has tied to the slander and isolated us. Our accounts and our credits have been closed by banking institutions. No doubt some of this is due to the fact of my last name, Ishatala, as the wife of chairman and of the African People's Socialist Party, who is also the chair of the Black is Back Coalition, that has succeeded in giving ideological, political, and organizational coherence to the anti-colonial movement that was nearly destroyed by the colonial military attacks during the 1960s that resulted in incarcerating our greatest warriors and a string of assassinations that included Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, and others among in the United States. These assaults resulted in the mass imprisonment of thousands of our people and the targeted imprisonment of hundreds more that was recognized as political prisoners and our prisoners of war. The existence of APDS is the response to the general conditions of colonialism that we face as a people. Many of you have already seen the profound rebuilding of North St. Louis that we have initiated. We have demolished buildings in our community that have been pushed into a state of decay, demoralizing our people and denying our children an opportunity to easily imagine a future of happiness and success. We have created economic institutions to bring food and jobs into the food desert created by the colonial capitalist state. We are bringing life-generating programs that will overturn the condition of colonialism that generate enough African children dying in their first year of life to fill 15 kindergarten classrooms each year. On this day, August 19th, we are unveiling one of the APD's proudest achievements. This fourplex apartment complex will house African men and women recently released from the colonial prison system. We are honored to name our entire African independent workforce housing after the great freedom fighter, Richard Mafundi Lake. And in each room of the housing, we will name an African political prison, Matula, Asada, Sudagani, and Desi X Wood. We have purchased this apartment complex back in 2018. And APDF hired African contractors to completely renovate the fourplex apartments. We had plumbers, roofers, electricians, HVAC, and fencing contractors. We have had many volunteer work days to clear out the building and yard, to assemble furniture and decorate. This is definitely the house that Black built.
Right on.
We furnished the apartment with beautiful pieces from Ahura Furniture and Collectibles in Philadelphia. They actually drove 900 miles through the mountains in a snowstorm to bring this quality furniture and one piece of hand-painted Enzo furniture in each apartment. So you're gonna be seeing all this thing too.
All right.
With funding from Cliff Bar, JD Chef, and hundreds of donors from St. Louis and around the country, we were able to make this happen. We also purchased a lot next to that apartment complex to transform the Black Power Blueprint Vanguard basketball court. And then we had a grand opening a couple of months ago, on June 17th of this year. This fourplex is named for Mafundi Richard Lake. Long live. A historic freedom fighter from Birmingham, Alabama, who spent much of his life in the notorious Alabama prison system and who initiated one of the most powerful organization-wide prison at the Atwaaba Hall prison. Mafundi would also become the first national organizer of the African National Prisoner Organization called ANPO. This is a mass prison organization created a revolutionary party as part of the revolutionary response to the colonial assault waged against our people in the movement. This assault resulted in the political prisoners we are celebrating with this ceremony today with the help of the Black is Back Coalition that Chairman Omali Ishitella spoke about earlier, about the significance of Richard Mafundi Lake. However, Mafundi Lake was not the only political prison or anti-colonial prisoner of war. There are many others. This fourplex that APDF is inaugurating today is part of our work to respond and to pay tribute to 4 other of the hundreds that are intended to remove from the memory of our people forever by the colonial powers. As we stated, this includes the incredible Desi X Wood, also known as Rashida Mafusa, as a heroic African woman who was imprisoned in Georgia after killing a white would-be rapist with his own gun after he attacked Sister Desi and her companion, Cheryl Todd. Then there is Asada Shakur, who escaped a murder attempt on the New Jersey Turnpike by highway police who were hunting her and other members of the Black Liberation Army. Asada was shot by their domestic military forces while her hands were raised. But in the ensuing struggle, a domestic colonial military force was killed. As you know, Asada escaped from prison and made her way to Cuba, where she was given asylum, while under what has become a $2 million bounty on her head, most recently by Obama Justice Department. Sunyata, this is the fourplex immortalizing, was with Asada when she was assaulted on the New Jersey Turnpike. Sunyata carried her to safety before he was captured himself. And we have Matula Shakur of the Black Liberation Army, long live, who was recently released from prison with stated recognition that his implying death was a condition for his compassion release. These are 4 of the figures of our relentless struggle for total liberation for colonial domination that was personally immortalized by the apartments bearing their names that will house 2 persons each. This dedication will introduce the African Independent Workforce Program. APDF teams have been working on this program for a year now. We have completed the overview, designed the logo, created core values, and we have the brochure here for you today to learn more about this program. We are recapturing Africa labor to build our African nation bringing African workers into revolutionary process. Our slogan is "Our labor, our future," building a collective economy for our entire community, distinguish our program from other workforce programs. Our mission is to reverse the negative economic impact of the colonial economy and the prison system. The African Independent Workforce Program is training members of our African community to contribute to a prosperous future through development of our independent, liberated economy. Our vision, our African labor is now producing for ourselves, meeting the essential needs of food, clothing, and shelter, and creating prosperous, self-determining African communities everywhere. We have 7 core values. The first one is a collective African economic development. Number 2 is African ownership of the means of production. Number 3 is empowerment and leadership of the African working class. Number 4 is to transform individuals with confidence, skills, and respect. Number 5 is team building and collective leadership. Number 6 is organizational and personal integrity. Number 7 is a collaboration and partnership with like-minded organizations and individuals. Prison has always been used as a colonial tool against African community. We are 13% of the US population, but we are more than 40% of the prison population. 1 in 3 Black men and 1 in 18 Black women will go to prison in our lifetime. And in recent period, the fastest growing prison population is African women. In 5 years in the late 1990s, the incarceration rate of African women in the US have increased by 828%. Today, an African woman is 8 times more likely than a white woman to be in prison. Black women are mostly in prison for nonviolent drug or property-related offenses, so-called crimes of survival. We will be creating opportunities for formerly incarcerated African men and women to receive training, gain employment, and become stakeholders in a prosperous economy for our entire community. We are building a collective economy for our entire community. This distinguishes our properties from other workforce development programs. We are not just trying to improve the livelihood and opportunities of individuals. We are creating opportunities for African men and women in our community to receive training, gain employment, and become stakeholders in a prosperous economy for our entire community. The AIWP would include the culinary programs at Uhuru GCO, training for Uhuru on the Move, Black Power 96 Radio, the Colonnades, Uhuru Furniture, Uhuru Foods and Pies, the One Africa, One Nation marketplaces, Uhuru Planet, and Bernie Spear Media, and so much more. We have designated a workforce development training program to develop future chefs, bakers, line cooks, caterers, and production managers, which include professional furniture movers and stagers, truck drivers, store managers, artists and graphic artists, logistics outreach, social media and marketing, project managers, farmers and gardens, t-shirts production, customer service, radio engineers, human resources personnel, photographers and videographers, grassroots organizers, and so much more. We have included our Uhuma za Maisha program. This is a Swahili word for life services. We will plan to develop and provide life services and resources to the participants. We know that the colonial powers are looking for free labor to maintain the colonial mode of production and the capitalist system. In fact, this entire system was born off of our free labor. The 13th Amendment of the Constitution did not end slavery. It made slavery legal in prison. The prison system, corporations, and capitalism in general have benefited from our exploitation of free labor in recent period, generating billions of dollars in a huge prison economy. APDF intends to bring our people into a collective economy process of uplifting the whole African community and advancing the African nation. Our labor, our future. And I just want to say thank you, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about this amazing program. And after we get done with the solidarity statements, we will go on a tour of this Black Power blueprint down the road. Uhuru. Thank you.
Well, can we say call on? There you go. There you go.
Uhuru, one more time again. Can we speak around with applause? Fantastic program, but a great, and certainly needed, in our communities.
Yeah.
Us taking care of us. Uhuru. I want to invite up to the podium. As we said, this is a part of our program where we will at solidarity statements will be given. And I would like to ask first up, the People's Alderman. Jessica.
I will never let you down. Never will I let you down. I will always be the people's alderman. Happy for that. But first of all, let me say this. Women, African women, have always led. Haven't African women always led? African women lead. So we can look at Ozanae just to tell her she's leading. So we wouldn't be here without African women. What we need to think about too is that this is the first time in my lifetime that I can ever remember in St. Louis that any group, any independent group that has opened up something where the prisoners can have a place to lay their head. It's called, I know for the city as being an alderman, it costs $100 a day to keep a person in prison, $30,000 a year.
Yes.
Now, the industry, what the capitalist does, what the colonizer does, is make us the taxpayers pay for the captives,
Yes.
and then they get the benefit.
Yes.
But we're breaking that chain.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are opening up and giving the prisoners a place to lay their head,
Right on.
give them a job, and give them a purpose. And I'm in complete solidarity with the prison program. And so we, and that's why the Uhuru movement, and that's was attacked, because we're helping people building, and I just want to say I support it 100%, and I'm so happy to be a lifetime member of the Uhuru, the Democratic Uhuru movement, and thank you very much. Jesse X.
Uhuru, thank you, President Jesse. Next, Reverend Edward Pinckney.
It's going down. And the good news, we're not taking any prisoners. But we can't afford the people. And I just want to thank the O'Malleys because y'all are keen. And, all the hard work that you guys do, I really, really appreciate you. I mean, you give me that stimulation to do what I do. And since I've been part of this for probably about 5 years, 6 years, I'm happy to be saying that I'm part of this group. And I'm happy that I know you guys. As a president of the Benton Harbor Community Water Council, president of Banco, I want to say that we're in full solidarity with you.
Thank you.
We support y'all 100%. Matter of fact, we'll go back to back with anybody for you. You know, we stand up. And you don't have to question our Lord.
Right on.
You see, when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it.
Yes.
You know, and that's what we do. And I just tell you, I'm just proud to know you guys. You guys have put me in a whole different world, you know, and I appreciate that. And you know, I fight everything. There's nothing I don't fight. There's never been a fight I didn't like. You know, I mean, you know, when they say call Pinckney, they call. They know I'm coming. They know I'm coming. And just like you guys, you can expect the FBI to do what they did. You know, you have to admit that you know they come. Because that's their MO. This is what they do. But I'm telling you right now, we stand with them. We're going to support them 100%. And we're going to teach you that we can fight back. See, the key word is let's fight back. Fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back.
Yes.
Uhuru, next, representative from the Mafundi Lake Day Committee. Sister Carolyn Lake.
Ooh, this is very emotional. I'm lost for words. But I love y'all.
Love you, girl.
Black people. And to see this kind of thing happening is so powerful. So powerful. To Almighty God, to Chairman O'Malley Teller, and the African People's Socialist Party, to the Black is Back Coalition, to DC Onye and the Black Power Blueprint, to Penny Hess, Jesse Neville, and the APSC, to all of you organizers and freedom-loving people who are here and online, all over the world.
Yes.
We, the family of Richard Mafundi Lake, want to thank you. Myself, his widow, the children of Vanessa, Ricky, Sonia, and the children who are here, would you stand to claim? And to my dear friends who came along with us, Makeda, who's been Barbara Ann. Beverly.
Redbone.
And all of those friends who helped us make this trip. We had a lot of people to contribute to us coming here. And they've been supporting us all these years. Like I said, this is a very emotional moment. I knew it was always impressive. I mean, I didn't think, who would think to do something like this?
Yeah.
But to come here and see what you've actually done is so powerful and so touching. And Barbara, she wants to say something about my family.
Say something about it. Let's go on, Barbara, and say something about it.
I was gonna ask that.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
To God be all the glory, henceforth and forever. I was born Barbara Ann Davis, my birth name.
Yeah.
My Christian name turned to a reborn Minister Barbara Ann Pryor.
Okay.
So I just like to just say Mafundi. We met Mafundi when my brother was in prison with him. My brother went to prison when he was 24 years old. He died in prison. We were gonna give Deacon out on compassion law. But he didn't want to come home because he didn't want to take care of him like he was a baby.
Yeah.
So his choice was that he wanted to stay in prison and die.
Yeah.
But when Deacon got sick, every time he got sick, Mafundi would call my sister Jack and tell Jack that Deacon was ill. And we'd go down there and see Deacon. He always called, and he never failed. Every time Deacon went to the infirmary, he would call us, call my sister Jack. So the last visit we made with him, he was incapacitated, and he had on the door not to resuscitate him. And we was very sad about that. The next news we got, but let me tell you all something about my brother Deacon. At his last moment, I went to him, we went to him, and we prayed the Lord's Prayer together. And therefore I know that my brother he made his confession of faith. And I know Deacon where he is now. But I just like to say to the family, to Carol and her family, I appreciate that God had Mafundi in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
Because if he had not been there, my brother would have died. We not knowing what is happening to him. So I just like to give Mafundi a clap of gratitude. I'm gonna give to him when I talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's all I have to say. It's brought back a lot of memories, a lot of travels that we did, a lot of things that we did with the party.
Yeah.
A lot of great people that I met along the way who supported us. And I have never felt alone because of this man.
Right.
A lot of people didn't understand Mafundi. And they would have a tendency not to support us.
Yeah.
But I've never had to explain Mafundi to O'Malley. Because there was so much alike. And I just appreciate you. And I can't help but support you in your efforts. And I can just see all kinds of things happening with these programs. You lit the fire. And it's shown us how we can do it. We've been talking about it, but now we can. We see it. And I just appreciate your allowing us to be a part of it. Thank you.
I just had an opportunity to hear, Carolyn Lake is an extraordinary singer as well. She's been in the church forever.
Yes.
And she has this habit of and she does it, you know, with, it's just brutal glee. She sings, there's a particular song she knows that she sings it, and she actually brings tears to my eyes every instance, and she does it on purpose, right? So I feel like this is a little payback to see you're coming up like this. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And there's so much that, you know, that goes unspoken. I mean, just in terms of our relationship, and you're right, in terms of being Mafundi. Yeah, thank you so much. Where are we now, Carmen?
We had, unfortunately, some technical difficulties that enabled Sister Betty Davis from the New Abolitionist Movement to be able to provide a solidarity statement. I think I did see possibly her in the chat, as well as Brother Ralph Horner with the Lynn Stewart Committee. Brother Ralph is experiencing some health issues that enabled him not to be able to travel, but they did send the greetings, and perhaps we will get the opportunity, one, to hear from them tomorrow, and two, be able to correct the problem that is enabling us not to, were they able to participate, not to be here. This is the point in the program where we will now leave this venue, and the Black Power Blueprint, led by Deputy President Ozanae is going to lead us on a tour where you want to give us some direction or? Yeah, so if everyone can get out of their seats, move around. Yeah, you can leave your stuff here. We're going to come back after this, will be lunch, and we are going to journey to the actual dedication point of the facility.
Well, I just wanted to say that it was mentioned, Ralph Pointer and Betty Davis, both of them are stalwarts, really key forces in our movement and have been for a long time. And Ralph Pointer is with the Lynn Stewart Committee organization. At one time, Lynn Stewart was a real revolutionary lawyer. Yeah. And in fact, so effective that the government actually imprisoned her for defending, you know, a client. And the last time, Sister Carolyn Lake, I don't know if you remember Sister Carolyn, maybe it was at my birthday party. What year was that? Long time ago. Where Lynn Stewart and Ralph Pointer both came to the birthday party, and you were there then, shamelessly, you know, bringing tears to my eyes with your song of freedom, right? And so anyway, I just, you know, we all come together in this struggle. We find ourselves, you know, crossing paths and connected in so many different ways. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you so much. Uhuru. So people, it's only a block or two down the street, but for people who cannot walk, what they made for